She walked through the hotel alone, confused, disoriented, and never made it back. Security footage shows her wandering the halls, pressing elevator buttons, leaning against walls, trying to keep her balance. No one stopped her. No one helped her. Hours later, she would be found inside a freezer. And the question that still lingers, how did she end up there? Welcome to Where the Trail Ends, where we follow the story until it disappears. Kenneka Jenkins was 19 years old from Chicago, Illinois. She was known by her family and friends as outgoing, fun-loving, and full of personality. She had goals, plans, and a life ahead of her, like any other young adult just trying to figure things out. On the night of September 8th, 2017, Kenneka received a call from friends inviting her to a party at the Crown Plaza Hotel in Rosemont, just outside of Chicago. At first, she wasn't planning on going, but after some convincing, she decided to join. She arrived at the hotel with friends, and the group headed up to one of the rooms where the party was taking place. There were several people there. Music, alcohol, a typical late-night hotel gathering. At some point during the night, Kenneka became heavily intoxicated. Witnesses later described her as unsteady on her feet, slurring her words, needing help just to walk. Videos taken inside the room that night would later show her in that condition, clearly impaired. And then, at some point in the early morning hours of September 9th, Kenneka became separated from the people she came with. Exactly how that happened is still unclear. What is known comes from surveillance footage. Around 3:20 a.m., cameras inside the hotel captured Kenneka walking alone in the hallways. She appeared disoriented. At times, she would stop and lean against the wall. Other times, she continued walking slowly, almost aimlessly. She entered an elevator, pressed buttons, waited. But something about her movements suggested she didn't know exactly where she was going. The elevator doors opened on a lower level of the hotel. Instead of returning to the lobby or going back upstairs, Kenneka stepped out and continued walking. Alone. She moved through corridors, passing through areas most guests would never see. Service hallways, back areas, places meant for staff, not visitors. At one point, she pushed through a door leading further into the building. No one stopped her. No one redirected her. No one noticed. Eventually, she made her way into the hotel's kitchen area. An industrial space, quiet. Empty at that hour. Inside the kitchen was a walk-in freezer, the kind used to store large amounts of food. The door was heavy, but according to report, it was not locked. And at some point, Kenneka went inside. What happened in those final moments is something no one witnessed. There were no cameras inside the freezer, no audio, no clear explanation. Investigators later determined that Kenneka died from hypothermia. They concluded that she entered the freezer, became trapped, and was unable to get out. Her intoxicated state likely impaired her ability to react, to think clearly, to find the exit. And in freezing temperatures, time was not on her side. The official ruling was accidental death. But for many, the questions didn't stop there. One of the biggest points of confusion was the freezer door itself. Reports stated that it could be opened from the inside. So why didn't she get out? Was she too disoriented to figure it out? Was she too weak? Or was there something else that hasn't been fully explained? Another major concern was the timeline. Kenneka's family realized she was missing that morning and went back to the hotel, desperately searching for her. They asked hotel staff for help. They asked to see surveillance footage. But there were delays. Hours passed before the footage was fully reviewed. And during that time, Kenneka was still missing, still somewhere inside that building. By the time she was finally found, it was too late. That delay became a major point of frustration for her family. Could more have been done sooner? Could her life have been saved if the search had moved faster? As surveillance clips were released, the public began analyzing every moment, every step, every turn. People watched closely, trying to understand her path, her condition, her state of mind. Some believed the explanation made sense, that she was intoxicated, disoriented, and tragically wandered into a dangerous situation. But others weren't convinced. They questioned how she made it so far into restricted areas without anyone noticing. They questioned whether she was truly alone the entire time. They questioned the timeline, the response, the details. The case quickly gained national attention. Online discussions exploded. Theories spread across social media, but despite all of the speculation, no evidence was found showing that anyone else was directly involved in her death. Authorities stood by their conclusion. Accidental, hypothermia, case closed. Still, for many, the case leaves an uneasy feeling, not because of what is known, but because of how it all unfolded. A young woman goes to a party, becomes separated from her friends, wanders alone through a hotel, enters areas she should never have been in, and ends up inside a freezer. It's a sequence of events that feels almost unreal, almost impossible. And yet, it happened. Kenneka Jenkins lost her life that night. And while the case may be closed, the questions remain. Thank you for watching. This is Where the Trail Ends.